sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media outlets use their own personal bias and agenda to control the extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Because of you, we're in this mess. Forever you will acquiesce. How you love to be deceived. Whatever they tell you, you believe. Get a sight, get a mind. You believer, you are blind. Critical thinker, you are not. Never independent thought. Box into your paradigm. Hypnotized with pantomime. Regurgitating all you hear. Spread your terror, spread your fear. Never your mind to be free. Never your eyes will ever see. Let the brood of tyranny begging for your slavery. They who have remote control, the TV know your very soul. Tune into the great deceiver. Television watching news believer. Inject your poison where your mask. All they have to do is ask. Never questioning authority. Blindly following like sheep. Yes sir, no sir, free backs fool. You television watching fool. Never your mind to be free. Never your eyes will ever see. Let the brood of tyranny begging for your slavery. They who have remote control, the TV know your very soul. Tune into the great deceiver. Television watching news believer.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. Extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is 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 extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In their world forever locked. Into their world forever boxed. Reality you leave behind. A prisoner of your own mind. Forever you will be deceived. Never, ever to be free. Yeah. Never your mind to be free. Never your eyes will ever see. Let the brood of tyranny begging for your slavery. They who have remote control, the TV know your very soul. Tune into the great deceiver. Television watching news believer. Never your mind to be free. Never your eyes will ever see. Let the brood of tyranny begging for your slavery. They who have remote control, the TV know your very soul. Tune into the great deceiver. Television watching news believer.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Rose777, and we are now streaming to the Secrets of Saturn YouTube channel and the Rose777 Rokfin channel and the new United for Good Information Facebook page, which I changed the name of as a social experiment. Wink, wink. So let's introduce my guests tonight. First and foremost, I must introduce David Weiss, the creator of the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Welcome. How are you?
Thanks, Rose. Good to see you. Been a while.
It has been a while since we flat smacked. The first time that I ever flat smacked someone was my best friend, Kelsey.
Yes.
In March of 2020, when she realized that there was a lot of world deception going on, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to explain to her the largest potential world deception of all.
You know, do you still have that video? Because that was the funniest thing ever when we're trying to start the show and Kelsey literally stuck her ass right in the camera. And it was the look on your face was the most classic thing I ever seen. It still brings a smile to my face every time I think about it.
Okay, so that didn't happen during the flat smacking. That happened during a stream afterwards that you were watching and I'm sure enjoyed very much, because also her friend was with her who also bent over as well and showed a little bit of side boob. Then you actually made a clip of that and it was very funny, and we should even play it and look at it on YouTube before we begin, because I know that Scott would enjoy it as well.
Yeah,
Now,
I have no idea where to find it. Do you have it?
I would have to scroll down a few years on your channel, but I'm willing to do it while you guys are all talking.
We'll skip that. And this is this shirt right here is Kelsey made this shirt for me. Little iron on. It look right. It's really nice, and no one notices it. The normies see the North Face, and the awake people see the flat Earth. It's amazing.
That is so funny. So yeah, Kelsey is very resourceful, and right away when she realized that there might be something to this theory, she not only started her own website called meetflatearthers.com, but she is making apparel, and she was recently at Flattoberfest, and I just love her. She's wonderful. Contact me for details if you want to know more about Kelsey, and if you're lucky, we'll show you the clip of her ass shortly. Let's move on. We have my next guest, who is also my fellow flat earther on the flat earth globe denying true earth realm of things, biomagnetism therapist and true friend in reality, Austin Walters, who first appeared on Crow 777 Radio episode 216. Welcome, Austin.
Thank you so much for having me on this Friday night flight. It's going to be a good one.
Do you always have lights glowing around your head like an angel?
I did that just for you, David. Not normally,
I
no.
love it.
It's for the special evening.
It's very medieval too, the way that it just is very tightly wrapping around your head. If it was over here, I would feel like maybe more Renaissance Michelangelo, but since it's very two-dimensional,
I could do one of these, and we can do this thing and do the Sacred Heart.
Nice.
Yes, we need. Okay, so while Jason's gone, we have to do more Masonic imagery.
That's right. But yes, good to be here.
Yes, it's very important.
Right.
Oh yes, no, like that.
Yes.
That's all I got.
All right. Stop doing Mason stuff.
Yeah,
hi, Dave. Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back, Dave. We were just doing some subliminal messaging while you were gone. So
phenomenal.
So, okay, Austin Walters is aware of your work already. He appreciates what you do, and he's really here to help assist us in the conversation that is the purpose for the whole flat smacking event, which is my friend Scott Faust, who I know because he is so close to the love of my life, Jason Lindgren, since Jason was in his 20s. Welcome to the show, Scott. Tell us a little bit about Jason and how old he was when you met him.
I think Jason was 23 when I met him. Oh my gosh. He still had the long hair. He was still playing the guitar. He would kick the door open and go, "I'm here," like to try and play the hot rock star guy. Like just joking around. He was a trip, man.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Something that I love so much about Jason is he's just so confident and secure with himself. And it's a very good role model for me. And because I'm so neurotic and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Is there a poppy seed in my tooth? You know? And like, and even recently on the show that we recently recorded on Crow 777 Radio, Crow made a joke, and I am still, mark my words, I'm fighting to get it removed. Because I didn't like it, and because it had to do with Jason, because I felt like it was just like compromising his masculinity, and I'm the only one freaking out about this, and Jason seriously doesn't care. And so in a text message, I was like, Crow, and then I stated my argument of why what Crow said really made me feel uncomfortable. So he had a choice. Either we remove it or let me cut in my voice saying something else. And all he responded was, Jason's the editor. So it's all in Jason's hands, and we'll see what happens. So the reason why I have you here today is not just because I want to ask you totally, private questions about Jason when he was in his early 20s, when I know I was at my worst behavior, and I know he wasn't a partier, but I just love stories. And
he wasn't a partier.
He said he wasn't a partier.
Bullshit. I'm gonna call bullshit on that.
When
I'm
we
going to
first
take you
hung
over
out,
on that.
we went on a partying mission for a while.
See, I feel like for Jason, though, he didn't get drunk, though. For Jason, partying was like having sex, right? He would go out and have sex with
we met a
girls.
new drummer. They had this new drummer, and they found this this new spot out, and it was about 25 minutes away from where we were at. So we get there, and we're all drinking, and they had Mickey's Big Mouth, so we're all like really getting hammered, you know?
Jason was getting hammered?
By the end of the night, Jason's telling this guy that he's so glad he met him. He was in the I love you man stage, you know? So yeah. We partied a bit. He wasn't as much of a partier as the rest of us, you know, but it took me a long time to get him to smoke weed. Like years and years.
And he didn't like it, did he?
He never liked it, no.
Yeah. Another funny thing about Jason from his past that he told me, which goes to show he must have been drinking something a little bit, was that he fell asleep at a Slayer concert. Were you there?
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. So he must have been tired from drinking a little bit of alcohol. Okay. So he really did party. All right. He wasn't just a slut, but he partied. Okay. Good to know. I'm just joking about the slut thing. I really don't know.
You don't fall asleep at a Slayer concert. You pass out.
Yeah, exactly. Or you get smushed by a wall of death. Anyway, right. It's time to now get to the most serious topic that exists in our realm, which is the nature of our reality and the shape of our earth, what we call the earth. Some people believe in a creator, and other people believe that we have a meaningless existence spinning in a world of nothingness and a universe, an endless vacuum of space that happened all from an explosion. So, Scott, before we try to tell you everything that we think, how do you feel and what do you think about where we live? How much are you influenced by your television? I know based on the opening, you know how I feel about the television. So it's your turn to talk.
I love that movie.
Before he answers that, while you were on your dab peeing mission, I asked him, gun to your head, gun to your head. You have 3 seconds to answer: the Earth flat or globe? Guess what happened?
What happened?
He died. He didn't answer. He couldn't answer. So it was an interesting litmus test. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
There's a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do.
I don't think there's that much work to do. I think in the next 7 minutes he's going to realize we don't live on a globe. But go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, it's time for Scott to talk first, and then we're going to have plenty of time to talk. I also just forgot to mention to everybody watching right now, thank you so much on YouTube, Facebook, and Rokfin, that all 3 of these gentlemen have been drinking, and I feel very left out. I didn't prepare. So just keep that in mind when David says that, you know, my dab pee break, which is accurate, but completely unnecessary to say on the live show. I've had 2 beers, so I don't know if you count that, you know.
I've had
just
one.
saying.
It's a big one.
If you're counting calories, then it really counts.
I don't count calories. Shoot.
Or maybe you should, because you like too much cake and pancakes.
It's beer keto.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but it is vegan
Carbs.
mostly. So
Yeah.
I thought I was keto for a couple of days, and then I found out that the rice in my sushi was not keto. So, but it was a big deal not to eat bread for a couple of days. I'm telling you, Austin knows, but nobody else really knows as much.
I know.
Okay, so
all right, let's get to it.
Let's get to flat Earth. Scott, go ahead. Tell us, what do you think? How do you feel about this whole situation? Why are you here tonight to hear about this?
So I got turned on to Taoism maybe 15 years ago. And it's a lot like the Force in Star Wars, and it's just there's a path for you, and in the universe. The universe isn't. There's not like a creator, but the universe kind of carries you where you're supposed to be, and the more you fight it, the more trouble you have, and that sort of thing. So I mean, that's where I come from. So as far as it goes with a globe and a flat Earth, like I'm pretty much a blank slate on that, and I just really don't know. Like all I have ever heard is about the globe theories, like I was watching Moonfall last night, and they're talking about the moon's hurling into the earth and they're going to nuke it. And that's supposed to work, but according to their own science, that would just mean that they would just spiral into the sun, So you guys have to clue me in on some of the flat earth stuff so that I have an idea.
What's interesting is somebody like you, and this is not, I'm not attacking you because most of the world is like this, and maybe even I was like that. They don't know because they never looked into either. They just believed what they were told and went through their lives and never really questioned it, right? But, the question I'm going to ask you now and at the end of the show is, what's your best proof for the globe? And, at a point, you're going to realize that you don't have one. And then
I don't really.
From there. Yeah, well, no, it's not because it's there's two reasons you haven't. One, because you never looked, and two, if you did look, you'd realize there aren't any.
Yeah, I've never been in space, so
nobody has.
That's one.
Nobody has. Yeah.
All right.
I thought that Stephen Hawking got to go because he's special.
yeah, on a green screen.
And William Shatner too, right?
William Shatner got to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the stratosphere, right?
Right. Every Tuesday on Star Trek.
Okay, so what I would like to do now, Scott, is I'd like David and Austin just to kind of like give you their general story of how they came to Flat Earth and like how they got here, and then I will tell you how I got here and why I would like to identify myself as a flat earther, and I lean in that direction. Although it's nothing that we can prove 100%, I'm very proud to call myself a flat earther, and I want everyone from my past to find out that I'm a flat earther. Okay, so go ahead. Let's start with David.
I was dragged in like anybody else. We all have the same story. We thought it was stupid when we heard about it, but then somebody close to us usually makes us look. And when if you're a true investigator and you're trying to investigate something, you say, okay, let me find the truth. But most flat earthers, or non-flat earthers at the time, they go in going, fuck this flat earth shit. This is ridiculous. I'm going to prove the globe and prove that you're retarded. And that's how you become a flat earther. Because when you actually look, don't just Google, is the earth flat? Oh, look what look what Google fed me. I have to believe that. Once you actually use your God-given senses, you look back after a short period of time and say, how the hell did I ever believe in the heliononsensical bullshit model? Right? I mean, it is the dumbest thing on earth. It is so dumb that I am embarrassed that I ever believed in it. But I believed in it for a majority of my life. It wasn't until 2015, or give or take, that I started actually looking and checking. I was a believer, right? And as Crow says, belief is the enemy of knowing. That is the truest statement of the world. You can believe anything, right? I always tell people when I do a podcast, they say, oh, where are you? I'm in Connecticut. And then later in the podcast, I go, where do I live? They're like, oh, you live in Connecticut. I'm like, is that a belief? Or do you know it? And they're like, well, it's a struggle to get them to say it's a belief, because it is a belief until you verify. If we had to verify everything, we would never have time to do anything. So we are required to believe with zero investigation. So we have to trust our senses. Hey, Rose tells me that she went to do a dab and go pee. I am assuming she went and did the dab and went to pee. Okay, I don't have proof of it, but I believe it.
I could have mainlined China White and throw up.
All right. So
you know.
So
I mean, that's true.
Again, this world is a balance of trust and common sense and using your senses and to navigate reality. Okay, so this world, when you look at it and use the base level of God-given common sense, there is 0.0000 forever zeros chance that we live on a scientifically impossible space rock surrounded by curved water, surrounded by curved air, adjacent to a void. It's the dumbest thing ever. It's so dumb, I'm really tired of talking about it.
Okay, I know, but it's kind of like all you do all the time. But I love the vibe.
I know. Listen. I love it. I absolutely love my life, what I'm doing, talking to people. But it's like it comes to a point where you're just like, how can you be so fucking stupid? Okay. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
You shouldn't be sorry.
Thank you for explaining. Thank you for explaining how you came to Flat Earth. Now, Austin Walters, please tell us.
That's what really stuck out. How can you be so fucking stupid?
I mean, I was that stupid. I love space. I used to say, oh, you know what? The footage of the moon, they faked it because they're hiding the true technology. We don't want the Russians to know what we're doing. I believe that. Okay? I believe so many stupid things. I'm embarrassed to be alive. That's it.
I'm embarrassed to ever think that they're like government countries were fighting with each other, and now I believe that they're all like texting each other, totally friends, just like all of us content creators. Anyway, go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah. Austin Walters, why did you even look into this in the first place, and how did you come to grips with what you discovered?
Yeah, so like Dave said, pretty much kind of fell into it. I didn't have anybody to drag me into it, though, to keep investigating. I did that on my own. But like maybe 2007, I had already gotten into the whole fake moon landing stuff. And I was 100% convinced at that point that it was all bullshit with the moon landings. Now, I was kind of in the same camp where I was like, well, I don't know if they're hiding something, but I did think that like the military was doing some secretive shit and they probably didn't want us to know, or maybe the moon was a hologram and extraterrestrials. It's so funny. Like Dave was saying, how we get lost on these fantasy trails where there's like no evidence other than some obscure forum online where you're reading other dudes that are also talking about it. And so I kind of sat with that for years. And then my previous line of work, I had a lot of drive time in between clients. And so I would listen to podcasts and YouTube videos and whatever. So circa 2016, I don't even remember the first flat earth video I saw. I think it was some guy was showing how, the rainbow can only happen in a prismatic state. So like that was one of the big proofs that the earth was flat. And I was like, what the hell is this dude talking about? And I was a globe believer, of course, at the time too. So I was chewing on the idea, and I don't think I had found Crow yet. And I think this was right when Dave and Jaron were both starting to put video content out right around that time, Mark Sargent. And I ran across the infamous Mark Sargent video. I saw it and I was like, this dude's fucking nuts. There's no way.
What's the name of the video so everyone knows?
It was, which one was that first? Flat Earth Clues, the first Flat Earth Clues video. Yeah. And at the time I chewed on the idea while I was driving in between clients. And then I was like, it's such a foreign concept. There's no way that the earth is flat. Like I've seen too many videos. And like, while I kind of was on the fence about NASA, I just figured that was like a front company, that we still had technology to be able to fly around and do all that stuff, in space. But I didn't think that the earth was flat. So then I started trying to reason it out in my head, and I started watching more content. And then here we are today. Eventually I decided that there was just too much evidence to show that it was. And then biomagnetism actually backs this up, in my opinion, due to the nature of reality and how we can, like, in a world where we're on just a random ball of dirt floating through space, hurling at thousands of miles an hour, it makes zero sense for me to be able to do remote healing or to muscle test and connect to another human being's life force if this is all just randomized. So there's a lot of that I get to see day in and day out with my own therapy that reinforces the idea that we're here for a reason. So that's just my 2 cents there.
All right. Thanks, Austin. It's really good to have you guys explain how you got here, just so that Scott can have that background, because so often flat earthers just come over just like hammering it in just so hard, just like actually, David, you did kind of just do that. You kind of came in just saying that everyone's an idiot if they don't see it.
You know.
But like, I feel like we had a good rapport in order for him to do that, right? Absolutely. Scott, do you feel comfortable with the confidence?
Yeah, very comfortable.
Okay, good. So my story is that I moved in with Jason and we're together in 2017, and I just love him so much. And I don't even care what Crow is saying in the show that he's editing. I mean, I'm not even paying attention to what Crow is saying whatsoever. And all I'm really thinking is, this guy's talking so much more than Jason. And Jason should be talking more because he's got such a gorgeous, beautiful voice. And so then I saw some of the telescope work and I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit special. What the heck is that shit? And then I start listening, like actually listening to the show and paying attention and not just being like in love with Jason. And I was like, okay, boom. Yeah, I really dig this. And I had been thinking of starting my own podcast, which is so funny to think about now at the time, because if I had done that, like, I had no idea, like, it just, everything fell into place. However, this whole flat earth thing, the world is misdescribed. Like, what is he talking about? He's trying to be diplomatic. That must be what he's doing. When he says the world is misdescribed, he must be trying to take, an even sense. And then the more he'd talk, it's just like, is he actually a flat earther? And then I don't remember what I said, but I remember his response was, the flat earth is not going away. This topic is not going away. There's no sense in ignoring it. And so then, at one point in 2019, Jason gets invited to speak at the Flat Earth International Conference in Dallas, Texas. And I, of course, was going to go with him, but I was absolutely mortified, so embarrassed. And I had seen this documentary called Behind the Curve on Netflix. And obviously, I recognized at least that it was a hit piece used to make them look stupid. At least I could recognize that. But I still didn't think that the earth was actually flat. And because of that documentary, I didn't want to be seen or filmed at the event. So what did I do? I basically met other listeners of Crow 777 Radio in the car. I had them come to the car, and then I only went inside the event during Jason's presentation. Then we get back to Louisiana, and lucky us, we live on the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain, and a listener gifted us with a P1000, which is a super zoom. So we decided to go down to the lake every single day for a long time until it was a clear enough day that we could find out if we could zoom in on the roof of the Superdome. And if we could zoom in on the roof of the Superdome, then at least we know that they're lying. And according to their equation of 8 inches per mile squared, we shouldn't be able to see the top of the dome because it's 273 feet high. And we were looking, at least, I'm being so generous here and rounding up, at like 30 miles away. The lake is 24 miles long. And then New Orleans is like on the other side of a town called Metairie. So believe me, it's more than 30. On Google Maps, it says 33.5, but of course that's driving. So you can't use that. But when you go to the Earth curvature calculator, you should not be able to see it. Now, another topic that I like to mention in this particular instance, because we do need to think about things like sea level and everything. And I would argue that New Orleans is probably even below sea level. So we could even, so just keep that in mind as well. So when we finally did zoom in on the roof from Sunset Point, I thought, oh my gosh, it's a bigger ball. And there's hidden lands, and that explains all this, the engineering, and why would someone poison their own environment, right? So that was where I was going with it. But then I did more research and yada yada yada. Here I am, and I'm convinced that it's more likely that we are on what is better described as a flat realm than a spherical globe in a vacuum
Rose,
space. Yes,
that's one thing where most people go at first when you say, "Oh my God, I can see too far." We all go to, well, not flat, bigger ball. And Taboo Conspiracy the other day on his last presentation did something that I haven't seen yet. They show a ship which was 16 miles away. The camera was like 1.5 feet off the water, and there's like, we shouldn't be able to see the ship. He said, not only can we see the ship, there was another ship miles beyond it that was higher up because of perspective, right? Because the water's ramping up to your eye level, and so you can see the water between and the other ship. So he's like, let's just pretend that ship is only 1 mile behind it, so that would be 17 miles instead of 16 miles. And if you do the curvature calculator, how big would the Earth need to be to see a ship 17 miles away with a camera? I think it was 1.5 feet off the ground. It's 300 and the radius of the Earth would need to be 380,000 miles. Okay, you guys know what the radius of the Earth allegedly is?
25,000.
No, that's the circumference. The radius.
Circumference,
the radius. Yeah. The radius is under 4,000. I think it's 3,850 or something like that.
Yeah.
Under 4,000. Yeah. That's what the alleged radius is. And the big question is, where did you get R from? Because nobody knows what R is. But let's just say it's 4,000 miles, just under 4,000. Earth would have to be 380,000 mile radius to be able to see that ship. So right there, if the Earth is 100 times bigger than they tell us, that's a problem. Okay,
that's a huge problem.
That's a huge problem. Okay,
yeah.
But again, I'll quote Taboo again. The way you can tell that we're not on a ball spinning in a space vacuum is because we're not all dead. It's impossible to live there.
Yep.
Rose, you're muted. I love it when you're muted because I can see your beautiful mouth speaking and not hear your voice. It's wonderful.
You're welcome. I was almost done with my spiel, which was that once I saw that, Scott, and there's one thing that I looked into was, how do they explain it? What would a rocket scientist say? And so the explanation is something called standard refraction. So it's not normal refraction, but we like to joke around in Flat Earth that standard refraction is bendy light, because it's like a special equation just to explain this. And it's like they're saying that the light is like causing it to rise up. And there are way more funny examples than Lake Pontchartrain seeing the dome about this thing. And the funny thing about standard refraction is that when you look at that equation, the R stands for radius, and we don't actually know the radius of the Earth. We've only drilled 8 miles down. So that to me is fascinating that people don't talk about that. Another big quick thing for after you Google and you look at, if you would come up with what Google's going to give you, which is all the videos of them making David look bad with his debates with these fake, disgusting, horrible, bad, mean people. They'll say, why do flat earthers always say 8 inches per mile square? Because that is an equation for a hyperbola, which is absolutely 100% true. It's an equation for a hyperbola. Why do we use it? For convenience. It's simple, it's easy, and it works just like the other trigonometry, cosine, tangent, whatever for the sphere, up to 1,000 miles. And you can prove the Earth is flat with just 33, like what I'm saying to you.
That
was it. I'm done. That was my spiel.
33.
A lot of people say, the 8 inches per mile squared, it's not nonsense. Yes, it is a parabola, and yes, it works to over 1,000 miles. We can never see 1,000 miles just because of the thickness of the atmosphere. But everybody remembers the Pythagorean theorem. You got a right angle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? Which is impossible on a ball. We'll get into that. So if we take a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If we take a person standing here, there's a length of his length. So a squared plus b squared equals squared. The drop would be here. Okay, we would do it. So let's take the numbers. Radius, they say, is 3,963 miles, right? But let's say this is just 100 miles. So they're looking, right? So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The hypotenuse is 15,000. You take that number and divide it out, and that's 3,964 miles, right? Subtract that out, and we have a drop of 1.2 miles. Okay, 1.2 miles at 100 miles. It's undeniable that that's what the drop is. The only argument you can have is this the drop, or would the drop be straight down? I agree that this is a drop. It's less than if you went straight down. Okay, right. We don't need to do that. And if you divide that into feet, it's 6,660 feet, and we all know that those sixes are what 8 inches per mile squared works. So this is 8 inches per mile squared. Okay, yep. And when the Globers talk about Earth curve, when you have the Jesse Kozlowskis, out there doing their what's it called? That whatever science they do. The what is it when they use surveying. They use the surveying equipment. It's they're hijacking they're hijacking perspective and calling it curve. Okay, right. They're hijacking perspective and calling it curve. That's it. So that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Thank you. I am glad that you're so freely expressing yourself here tonight. I really feel like this is going to be a legendary stream that I'm going to remember forever, and I just couldn't be happier about how it's all going.
I love it. I'm glad I'm a part of it.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Yes, we will always have this. Yeah, it must be right. Just divine intervention, that the good vibes, or maybe it's just the alcohol. And tomorrow morning we'll just look back and all of us will just be like, but yes, I don't think so.
Like the Oracle says in the Matrix, if I hadn't have said anything about the vase, would you still have broken it? Right. So it's like this idea that we're all here for a reason. It couldn't have happened any other way, right?
Right. Yeah. It really could. Do you have anything to add before we finally, after 37 minutes into this, let Scott ask his questions about flat Earth?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Yeah.
All right, Scott. So what do you have to say about all this stuff? And what do you want to know?
It's compelling. I didn't really sit down and think of all the questions that I had. And I apologize for that. But, with the dome, did you saw it when you used that zoom or no?
Okay, so the dome of the Superdome, the building, like it's for football, for sports games. Yeah, we saw it, and it's unmistakable. It has to be that building. If you look at any skyline of New Orleans and compare what every other building looks like to what the Superdome looks like, it's like these old looking regular rectangular skyscrapers, and then you just see this bright white dome. And I'm seeing this from I'm being very, very nice to the globe theory here. I'll just, even if it was 20, how about I share my screen and we go to the calculator, you guys, and we just play with the numbers a little bit and show him, because this is like the tangible thing that I experienced. Let's go to what tab should I use here? Okay. This was a cool song. I recommend everyone go to Jason's channel for premium content. Now let's do Earth curvature calculator. And the one I always go to is this one. This is what I'm familiar with. So I'm going to be so overwhelmingly, I'm going to exaggerate with how high above the ground the camera was. Should we say 15 feet above the ground is the eye height? And then we'll say that the distance away is 24 miles. Let's just pretend that the Superdome is at the edge of the lake in Metairie. And so if that's the case, then, it would be, it says, what does it say here, David? Target hidden height is 455 feet.
How high
So
is the
that means
Superdome?
the Superdome's only 273 feet.
Right. And the only argument the Globers have is refraction, that you're seeing a mirage, right? But that is provably untrue.
Yeah.
Now, if I change it so that the eye height is 7 feet tall and the distance away is 30 miles, then it says the target hidden height is 477 feet. So, I mean, let's see here. Let's say we were like the map, Google Maps says 33.5. And let's say the camera was 20 feet above the water. Okay.
No matter how much leeway you give the globe, it fails constantly. It always fails. The only thing that the Globers have, Rose, unshare your screen when you're ready. I want to show people something, because on a flat Earth, the horizon is optical. What do I mean by that? It means that perspective brings the sky and the ground together, and it just gets tighter and tighter and tighter to the point where your eyes can't see the difference. We're back. So if the Earth is a ball, there's a physical curve. Right now, you can't see my mouth. Zooming in isn't going to help because there's a physical curve. Now, on certain days, you'll be looking out at the water. Like I'm on Long Island Sound. I can see New York City. It's about 25 miles away. And I can see the whole city. I can see underneath the Whitestone Bridge. I can see everything. But some days, I can't even see the bridge. Some days, I can't see the base of the bridge. Some days, I can't see half of the buildings. Some days, I can't see any of the buildings. Okay? These are atmospheric changes, right? So right here, everyone that's into flat Earth has seen this. This is Mount Canigou. Can't see it. It's 175 miles away. The light that is bouncing off of Mount Canigou cannot push through the thickness of the atmosphere and get to your eyes. It's just the atmosphere is too thick, so you see sky. But twice a year, as the sun migrates between the two tropics, it lines up with Canigou and the observer. And when it does, it starts going beyond Mount Canigou, and as it does, it backlights Mount Canigou. The light from the sun is strong enough to push to your eyes, so it lights up Mount Canigou. Here's the top, the very highest point right here. That should be over a half a mile below the curve, giving the globe every benefit of the doubt, right? But the Globers will say the sun and this mountain have already set below the curve, right? The sun and the mountain have already gone behind the curve, and they're just refracting up, stopping at eye level. Okay, retarded. That is
ridiculous.
Retarded.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. There's so much you have to accept in order to believe that nonsense. I mean,
I do have the one major question that I have is why the whole conspiracy then? Like, because usually there's money in it, and I'm curious why the big globe conspiracy.
Yep.
I told you my answer before, so you guys go ahead and give him your official answer.
Yeah,
Austin, you can go first, but I just want to say that that is an intelligent question because you came to it pretty quickly. Normally, somebody has to have every other proof knocked out of their hands, their teeth kicked in, then they go, "Well, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday." I don't have to go to work on Monday. Okay, I used to say that I have to. Everything changes. So, Austin, you go first. I'll finish up with whatever you don't cover.
Yeah, I would say the whole. Well, there's multiple reasons, of course, just like with anything else that needs occulting. But in this case, if you think about taking, excuse me, if you think about taking large populations of people that you want to control through subliminal messaging and media and any other number of things that you're going to do to people, you need to separate them from the idea that they have sovereignty. And the best way that you can separate people from the idea that they have sovereignty is to remove any possible creator and replace that then with, religious dogma. So people still believe in something, but there is your firewall of control, right?
Yeah.
So if you were just born into this realm with no one to give you influence, you would automatically come to the conclusion that there's something bigger than you. no matter what that is, it may be different for every person, right? But you're going to come to that conclusion on your own without any outside influence. You're going to realize that you're not moving, you're not spinning. In fact, if you were to come to that idea later on after you're already grown, you would think it's preposterous. So the whole idea here being that if you want to control people, which is what every government entity, corporation, anybody that has a vested interest in making shitloads of money wants to be able to control you, but they don't want to have to do it most of the time forcefully. They want you to just acquiesce, bread and circuses idea.
Yeah.
So if you remove a creator and then you come up with another alternative that just says that this whole thing is really meaningless, go ahead and pray to your God on Sunday or whatever you're going to do there, meditate, but it really has no value. You're more likely to just sort of roll over and accept it. Okay, well, there's nothing I can do. Most of the actions that I have that take place here don't really matter ultimately.
Total fatalism.
Right, exactly. And when you change the perspective and you introduce the idea that yes, this place is a solid foundation place. There is something that created it. Doesn't matter if it's Yahweh, Allah, universal unicorn, spaghetti monster, whatever it is, whatever you decide that it is. Once you have given the power back to you, the individual, you immediately have sovereignty. No one can really control you. Now, I could forcefully control you, but there's going to be consequences for it, because then we can all agree that something created this, which means that either A, you could argue the hologram theory that this is all fake and that it's like a matrix. But even that, you're going to have some type of consequence for an action because you were put here for something. So either way you go at it, there's a reason why you're here, which is very powerful, really. If you think about the fact that they want to control minds of everyone all the time with mass shootings or any media, you got to ask yourself, why do they even do that? What's the purpose behind that? Well, if we're all connected technically, through ether or spirit or whatever you want to say,
yeah,
that means that collective consciousness can sway and shift the way that we manifest and create in this realm. So there's a big vested interest into why you would want billions of people to have a particular mood, perspective, idea. So to me, that's why they hide that from us and then make us sound crazy. The biggest argument that I found for myself looking at flat earth and going like, oh, there's no way this is true, is the fact that like, well, why would they even bother removing that content from YouTube back in the day? They'll let you talk about Bigfoot or any other thing all day long with zero proof of any of it. And those videos get played and promoted. But if you mention flat earth, it gets removed. Well, there's got to be a reason why. It just makes sense.
And they want to dilute your belief in the creator. So how do you do that? You pour it into infinite space, right? You dilute everything. You dilute your position in the world, right? Instead of being at the center of creation, you're a random speck flying through an infinite godless or distant God universe where there's trillions of other planets just like the one that you're on. So it kind of leads to nihilism and makes you feel insignificant, makes you feel powerless. And then you start believing, in everything else they say, global warming and running out of fuel and running out of energy, when the truth is there's free energy. There's cures. Every disease is incurable. Just like the doctor would tell you, well, that's incurable. Incurable means curing from within. All diseases are incurable. Okay. And so what they want to do is, the governments don't grant your rights, right? God gives you your rights. So there's divine law, which is the law of God, common law, the law of the land, statute law, or admiral maritime law, which is the law of the courts, the man's law. Okay. And in order to convince man to give up his divine rights or his common rights, you have to convince them that they're not divine. There's not a divine creator in a divine world. Right. And so they literally try to bring you down to that maritime law level of understanding. So you give up your divine rights, your common law rights, and nobody can take them away, but you can give them away. And so that's what this is all about. It's all about control. It's all about energy. It's all about it's a spiritual war. And they don't want you to know that that's even a thing. Okay. They don't want you to know that your thoughts create your reality. Okay. So
Yeah.
once you understand that, your thoughts are regulated by your beliefs, right? Your beliefs can be changed or upgraded or banished by choosing new thoughts, right? The future becomes the present when your expectations evolve, all right? And then time measures how much effort you need to change your thoughts, right? Your what is it? The current time and space shows exactly what you're thinking now. And there within, we find that, thoughts create your world. They don't want you to know. The saying, don't put the cart in front of the horse. I don't know if you guys, maybe I'm dating myself. Don't put the cart in front of the horse. But that's a lie. You need to put your thought in front of the manifestation. Everything you have in your life was a thought first. And the reason it took so long to get to you is because of you. You are your only enemy. There is no one else. You are the only one putting roadblocks in your life. So they don't want you to know that, right? Imagine, Rose, this episode, because it's on Secrets in Saturn, amazing channel. Everyone sees it tonight. It goes viral. So, Elon tweets it and it just goes everywhere. And the whole world watches it. And tomorrow morning, everyone goes, fuck the government. Well, that's it. It's over. They're gone.
Right. It's over.
They're not even, we can't even find them. We don't even know who they are. They're
so
gone.
waiting
There's
for that.
zero power. They have zero power. And that's what, they're trying to avoid. The only power they have is the mass compliance and fear that people hold.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So why the lie? This is the biggest one of all, right? And again, we can talk and say all sorts of things. But there's some great videos. If you go to the frequently asked questions and click why the lie on my app, there's some great videos there. That's worth the $3 for the app right there. Just the why the lie. Watch those videos, watch them again, share them with everybody. The why the lie is the most important question of all, because it is the one that makes people realize, why the fucking lie.
Right.
Yep. Well, and to add to that point, like a lot of what you said, Dave, is so poignant because, I actually get to see that in daily practice with clients most of the time that are not even here. I'll give you like a really good example. I have a client in Norway. I've actually never even met her, even on a Zoom. So if we're not all connected, if there's not a creator, then tell me how it is possible that I can scan her body with my intention, and that's a whole other side talk, but that I can figure out what pathogens are in her body. And then after I do the therapy and it's remote, how in the world is she experiencing healing? It's through my intention to heal her. And that energy has to go somewhere. If we live on a ball, it's just not possible. Like that just wouldn't even make any sense. That is right there. Like if everybody learned how to do my therapy, we would not have a need for modern medicine, other than getting sewn up for a broken limb or a lost leg or whatever. But, but that is how powerful we are as created beings. The fact that we can create life by bringing two of us together, that just shows you right there how powerful we actually are. And we take all of this stuff for granted on a daily basis, but the fact that I can carry genetic information and I can pass it on and create a new life says a lot about how powerful we are. And they just want you to gloss over that. They don't want you to realize that you actually can manifest a whole lot here in this realm, because if you do, then, they're not the bullies on the playground anymore. And right now they're enjoying all of life's, quote unquote creature comforts because they hold all of the power and they make the rules.
Eat
But
the
like
rich.
Dave said, right. Yeah. But, as soon as people stop wallowing in the idea of like, oh yeah, well, the government and blah, 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 and we all stand together and we say, you know what, enough is enough. That, like Dave said, is when the game ends. That's when it ends,
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
The heliocentric system, the real quick, sorry, Rose. The heliocentric globe is a prison. It's a prison for your mind. It is the matrix. Okay. Because our thoughts, just like you said, you could heal somebody in Norway. So your thoughts are extending through this this level horizontal magnetic plane
Yes.
that we live on.
Yep.
Right? They're not
Yep.
curving around a ball and crashing into each other over Antarctica. Okay,
No.
they're extending out, but if they have us believing in this, belief is is your
powerful.
reality. If you believe you live on a ball, you are limited to that ball. You're limited to that dying, global warming, running out of oil, running out of food, overpopulated ball that's going to be hit by an asteroid and we're all going to die. Okay,
Right.
versus the extended plane where you can send your thoughts out. You know, we don't know what's out there, but
Right.
it's great to send your thoughts out there and try to figure it out. So, you know, everything changes. Okay. My life, you know, changed so much because of this. I did my entire life. I worked for what I achieved, and then I walked away from it all. Insanity. Absolute, total insanity. I finally achieved everything. I had my own company, making more money than I ever thought. I had a lot of free time, and I walked away. You know who gave me the last straw? Just a little note. I was like thinking, God, walking away, and I was like, I can't. It's like it's the craziest thing that against everything that I've ever been raised to do. And then I talked to Owen Benjamin, the guy that was like, fuck flat earth, dumbest thing ever. I turned him into a flat earther. I talked to him and he goes, Dave, just leave. Just do it. He goes, just do it. And the creator will provide. And man, greatest decision I ever made. Okay. So again, if I didn't leave and I stayed, my life wouldn't be nearly as good as it is now. And that's my fault. It's a choice that I made. It's a belief that I had. Okay. Right. Your beliefs restrict you. Right. Most people's beliefs stop them from reaching their true potential. Okay.
Potential. Yeah.
David,
Yeah.
I love everything that you're saying, and I need to kick you out. Come back because you're getting a little glitchy. Just come back.
How dare
okay?
you? How dare
I
you?
love you. That's what the chat's saying. Anything that you want to add to that before he comes back and finishes his thought, Austin? Or do you have a question, Scott?
No, I actually need 1 minute myself.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Austin. So Scott's going to be right back. David's going to be right back. I think this is going very well.
I would say so. I think it's a good chat. A little more on the philosophical flat earth side today. So that's kind of nice for a Friday night. Normally, it's like, oh, well, look, here's this proof. Here's this proof. Here's this proof. Here's what Globers say. But tonight's a little more free form, which is cool.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
We're all vibing on the same jive,
Yeah, and we haven't had to fill any awkward silences bonding over our love for rock music or anything. We're just
That's true.
Chilling. David, say something so we know that you sound glorious.
How do I sound now? Can you hear
I think
me?
you should say it. Say the
Sounds
quick
fine to me.
The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
I will not be saying that.
Why? The whole audience is just dying to know what you sound like.
I want to bring up something from you know who Bev is from the Try Thinking channel? These are a bunch of flat earthers that really use logic, right? And they basically have boiled flat earth down to one thing. If you're a glober, you have to admit that there is no such thing as horizontal and there's no such thing as parallel. Okay? That every building, every room does not have parallel walls ever. You can't have a vertical parallel wall, right? So if you live on a globe, here's the globe, right? And here's our level plane. So I have a guy standing right here. He is vertical to himself. But every other point on this flat horizontal to him is not horizontal to the earth. So these guys, if they were standing like this, they would be parallel to him, but they're not. Okay? They would all be parallel, but in reality, they're like this.
Right.
Okay? So there's no such thing as a horizontal surface on a ball.
Right.
Okay? There's no such thing as parallel perpendicular lines. Right? That's insane. Okay?
Yes.
can't have a horizontal anything. There's only that point, that one point underneath his feet that would be horizontal. He'd be horizontal to. Every other point in every direction is no longer horizontal.
Right.
In other words, there's curvature everywhere. There's nowhere you can't find it.
You can't have,
which is ridiculous.
The World Trade Towers were not parallel to each other. They were tilted away from each other. Okay? The dumbest thing ever.
Yeah,
okay?
because observationally that is clearly nonsense. And then you have, I used to work with a guy that was like that, where he was a globe head with the best of them. And the beliefs that he was married to, you've seen it before, Dave, but it's like you could literally put something that is just clear as day in front of this person, and he would just defend the ridiculous idea, no matter, like, to the death, even though it's clearly not true. I mean, come on.
Well, David, I know that 9/11 was an inside job and nobody died or got hurt, and it was all a big
well, hold on. I think some people died on 9/11. You and I could argue about that all day long.
We could argue about it all day long, fine. But I'm just saying that I still don't like your using of the World Trade Center to discuss this, because they're so close to each other, and it's like scale. It's just not a good example, in my opinion. There's so many better examples. You're saying, just because they don't look, you could still argue that it's so small that our eyes can't detect it, right?
What about the entire city? That the buildings at the other end of Manhattan, miles away, are not parallel. A plumb bob. No two plumb bobs are parallel. No two plumb bobs are parallel. Okay. Listen. For anybody that's interested, like anyone that hasn't heard that argument, if you hit the web button and you go in here, this is the next level on the level Discord server. Click that, jump in there, tell them I sent you, listen to these guys talk, ask them some questions. They have some amazing arguments. Now, these arguments aren't good when you're on an escalator trying to somebody that the earth flat, because their brains just short circuit. They're like, what do you mean? They're horizontal. These are advanced arguments, but they're really, really good. I just encourage people, go here, check out this channel, check out this server, jump on there, have some amazing conversations.
Okay, Dave, unplug your headphones and plug them back in again. Let's try that now.
What is going on? You can't hear me?
You just have a little bit of glitchy. We can understand you. It's just
Can you hear this?
Annoying. Yeah, we can hear it. Just take your unplug and plug it in again. Let's see if that could resolve the issue.
This is equipment that Jason gave me. They got me hooked up with. So any problems here is Jason Lindgren's fault.
Okay, well, if the problem's still occurring when you're sober, then we'll talk more.
How dare you? How dare you, Rose?
I can't believe it. I can't believe this.
You guys, I'm having too much fun. And while Scott was away and while David was away, Austin and I were chit-chatting.
I'm really upset when my microphone's not working. Can you not hear me well?
I can hear you fine. I think
it's Rose is the problem.
Is it my problem?
I think that dab is kicking in.
Your ears are like,
really? I think I need another one.
There is a little popping, but it's intermittent on my end, so I don't know if that's like an actual thing.
Why don't you go back to the broadcast studio and call Jason David and have him help you figure out your mic since he knows what you got. All right, say the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, or whatever you want, just a long sentence.
A long sentence? I'm not going to say a long sentence other than I'm not going to say a long sentence. Is that better?
There you go.
That was enough to hear that it's still doing the thing. But wait, Nachiketa says that the mic is working fine. So let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's your headphones, Rose.
I know. It very well could be. So maybe I will take my headphones off in a moment.
Thank you, Nachiketa.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Now say something, David.
That's good. Checking 1, 2, 3. The red fox jumped over the whatever.
Not me. I can put my headphones back on.
All right.
So it's okay because maybe you just shouldn't talk very much anymore, David.
I'm out. I'm done. I'm finished.
It's a spiritual journey to listen sometimes. No, it will be fine. But anyway, while you were gone, while Scott was gone, we were talking about how it's nice how it was kind of like on the more spiritual side, this conversation. But I do want to get back to the radius. Dylan Sicoscio, the first episode that we had with him was episode 270, I believe. He had sent me a clip that's only 4 minutes long that I would like to share, which I don't feel like it gets enough exposure. So that's why I want to play it now that we've got everyone here. And then there's actually, he addresses the radius in his books, and I have a screenshot. So I'm just going to take a moment. We'll just call it a segment to do that. Let's share that. So I'm going to share my entire screen because I have the images up. Share the screen. Oh, wait, no, we're going to do the entire screen like I just said. Okay. So we're going to put this in the front. And I think there was another one. Can you guys see this stuff? Where is that other image? You guys can see my screen now. You should be able to. Okay. So he has this diagram here. I just want to read this. Okay. The Vatican heliohex was dispelled by a small group of people who just don't put up with a bunch of nonsense lies from people who piss on our legs and tell us it's raining. Imagine what a large percentage of humanity could do were it to become aware of the ways in which those who control the cults have deceived it. We could manifest paradise right now. Have you ever seen how Al-Biruni, 973-1050 AD, calculated the radius of the Earth? According to Wikipedia, Biruni developed a new method using trigonometric calculations to compute Earth's radius and circumference based on the angle between the horizontal line and the true horizon from a mountaintop with known height. He calculated the height of the mountain by going to 2 points at sea level with a known distance apart and then measuring the angle between the plane and the top of the mountain for both points. Biruni's estimate of 6,339.9 kilometers for the Earth's radius had an error of 0.0026 and was 16.8 kilometers less than the current value of 6,356.7 kilometers. The idea came to him when he was on top of a tall mountain near Nandana in India. He measured the dip angle using an astrolabe, and he applied to the law of sines formula. He also made use of algebra in his calculation. So then moving on, I just want to switch over to here to his point, which is how on earth, pun intended, could you calculate a geometric horizon from a refracted one? The radius value of the globe Earth that they gave us, approximately 3,959 miles, is total nonsense. It's over. You don't live on a globe. The horizon is the focal point. Don't let them talk about the platforms or the atmospheric distortion or magnification. All other subjects are red herrings. Atmospheric distortion or magnification that occurs near the horizon is common, and the more humidity there is in the air, the greater the distortion gets, which is why the sun looks like a bulging egg yolk as it sets over the ocean while it turns into a pinprick light over an arid regions. Also, the way the sun sets or the way boats appear to sail over a curve can be demonstrated on a flat table a couple feet long with magnifying lens big enough, which would be atmospheric magnification on a flat plane. Globe zealots are trying to use word games to hijack perspective and make you think what you're not seeing is real and not real. So let's go to this actually, let's let David in while we watch the 4-minute video. Here we go. And then we're going to talk. Well, everyone will have plenty of time to talk in 4 minutes. Here we go.
Till forgiveness was frustrated. I was Sorry you missed Christmas. Do you think that you'll still miss us? I was angry when you left and it showed up on my mattress. And I told myself it's better. If we only talk in letters. You broke my heart. You broke my heart. Did you think about my mother? When we shared the same bed cover. Did you wonder if it changed her?
So basically, we have to put on a funeral for the Globe because I mean that video right there just kills it. And I just want to say fuck the government so much that I don't want to be tricked. And so by default, I want to be a flat earther because I want to go down in history of not being fooled by these motherfuckers. And it just I don't want to be tricked into believing in all these crazy equations that they when I have the truth right in front of my face. You know what
Bros,
I mean?
those platforms were 4 miles apart, right? 6 miles and 10 miles, right? And if you, I think that was the first one was 6 and the other one was 10, right?
I'll send
Yes.
you the clip so that you can share it everywhere because
No, I
it's
just
so
want people
good,
to
right?
when you look at it, the distance between those looks very close. Then if you look at the surface of the water beyond the 10-mile platform, it is multiples times farther than the distance between those two. So we're seeing another 10 or 20 miles of water surface beyond that. Game over. We shouldn't see the water surface all the way up to the first one, right? So there's no denying this unless you believe that refraction is refracting each part up to eye level. Like the part that's a mile away, it's only refracting 8 inches. And then the part 2 miles away is refracting 32 inches. And then 3 miles away, it's refracting 6 feet. And
Right.
it's
It becomes
refracting it all.
ridiculous.
The globe.
The more you think about it, the more excuses you have to come up with.
Yeah.
to, like,
The
make
globe
make
is
sense.
constantly conspiring to trick you into believing it's flat. It's coming up with every ridiculous nonsense. Okay. And again, It's the dumbest thing ever.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Jason's standing right there, and I didn't see him.
Jason's right there. Maybe we get
what's
on the
up, Jason?
camera.
Wait, how's my audio?
Funny.
Better?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Jason.
All right, I'm out of here. Jason, you want to take my spot?
His audio sucks. Do you want to take a spot? We're like pretty
Take a
much
spot.
done. We're pretty much done.
It was nice meeting you,
I'm
man.
sending David. Yeah, we love you so much, and thank you for making an
Yeah.
appearance. I'm going to gift
Thank you.
Scott the app if he wants it, and we'll talk to
I
you
do.
soon. We'll keep you guys in
Just
touch.
watch the daily video each
Yeah.
day. Check out the featured video each day. Check out the frequently asked questions. There's so much in there, and then find other flat earthers near you because you're going to need them because you're going to lose the rest of your friends.
Yeah, all of them.
I get a lot of weird friends.
Yeah.
You know,
All right, you're going to make a lot of new weird friends.
New weird
that's
friends.
right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Love you, David. Have a good night, and I'll talk
Yeah.
to you soon.
See you guys.
Dave,
Thanks.
it was nice to meet you. Thanks for hanging out.
All right, man. Cool. Thanks. See you guys.
Yep.
Bye. I think that now that David's off the air, apparently, Scott, there's like another good stream happening right now that I didn't know was happening. So I'll probably check that out after this too, and I'll send you the link because I saw in the chat someone saying that Jared and Austin were dealing with two idiots. So I'll have to go find out what they're talking about. But while we're waiting for Jason to join us as we end the stream tonight, because I know you have a child and a whole life outside of the flat earth that you probably want to get back to. What's on your mind after this lovely hour?
I want to learn more about it. I'm interested. So
Yeah. There's
Right
there's a lot to learn and a lot that will keep you interested, I think. If you're a curious mind. So
yeah.
definitely worth
It's
definitely
been a
worth
long
diving
time
into.
since I believed that we went to the moon. So now
Right.
it's not that hard to look
Right,
into something like this, you know?
That's right. Yeah. If you've ever dove into like Hollow Earth or any of that stuff, then this will be right up your alley, except with more truth. So
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here he is, the man of the hour. Although his camera doesn't seem like it's working, but it's okay. Jason, welcome to the show. Can we at least hear you? Jason Lindgren.
There he is.
Hello.
Jason,
I think more than just the hour.
I should have had some cake ready.
Play the
Well,
keyboard.
Go make us some pancakes. That's my digital piano.
Hey, yeah. I love pancakes.
So we had a great time, Jason. David, came in swinging and, just very, tipsy. And it was hilarious and
Buzzing.
so much fun. It was great. I wish you
It's
could have seen the
classic
whole thing.
David.
And so, I mean, we talked about it from a philosophical perspective. I shared some of Dylan Sakoshio's book and a great clip from Santa Barbara, of all places, where I'm from, Scott. I'm from Santa Barbara. It's kind of funny that I'm from Santa Barbara, which has a proof of flat Earth, and then now I'm on Lake Pontchartrain. It's like this topic won't leave me alone.
Well, I did hear most of it. So, yeah,
Oh, good.
to answer the question that Scott brought up way earlier, the P1000 has, I think, 124 zoom on it, meaning you can really pull things close. Lake Pontchartrain, the bridge is 24 miles across. That cannot be used for proof of anything. It goes up and down and zigzaggy. So if you ever see anybody talking about that it's proof for one thing or the other, I've driven over it a million times at this point. Can't be used for anything. But the Superdome is 33.5 miles away from when you're standing on the fishing pier, which hopefully I'll get to take you to someday. So according to the Flat Earth Calculator, and Wayne McCroy and I did this one night, there's just no way, by the numbers that we're given, I'm always trying to be very objective about this stuff. By the numbers that we're given, that we should not be able to see certain parts of New Orleans, which we can clearly see.
Okay.
But you didn't talk that much. I heard a lot of this while I was at the store shopping. So you need to be thinking here. I know you kind of agreed with a lot of what was being said, but there's no way in hell you don't have questions. And I'm not the best flat Earth person. I'm also not the best globe Earth person. I'm a very objective individual. And when I see problems, I say, hey, I see a problem. And then I look for an answer. or I say I don't have enough data to conclusively prove something to myself one way or the other. That's the one difference that Crow and I kind of have, where I just kind of like, okay, well, if I don't have definitive proof of something, then I'm not going to go there. Whereas he might already be, nope, this is the way it is. So makes for good discussion.
Yep. Yeah. And I know you'll think of stuff. It's always different when you're kind of on the spot too, of course.
Yeah.
And presented with
so much more.
You know,
So.
a completely well, it may not be a new topic. I mean, I think flat Earth has been around long enough now. Most people have at least heard about it. You know, but
well, Scott, why don't you consider things like the space agencies and all that? Like, I know you're into science fiction. I know, so like, think about that for a moment while I get my air conditioning on because it's really hot over here.
Well, Rose told me that that NASA's like a what did she say? A job program? Is that how she put it?
I mean, they're kind of a money laundering program.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what is that money actually going to? You know, especially when they hire more CGI people. At one point, there was a running joke because they had more digital animators on staff than Disney, which should be a big clue. Something's afoot, man. I mean, come on, you don't need that many people to brush up an image from the Hubble.
What sold me on the moon landing was that they were talking about this guy's going in and debunking everything for NASA, and he's debunked this, and this, and I was like, and the next thing he came to was those photos where they had the slash in the lens of the camera that was actually behind stuff.
Yep.
And he said, oh, well, conspiracy theorists are always making up stuff about that. And that's like pretty much all he said. And I was like, okay.
I mean, for me, one of the biggest things about specifically the moon landing, you could remove everything else, but what's his face that did the big documentary and he went around and wanted the astronauts to swear on the Bible that they
Bart
walked on the moon. Yeah, Bart Sorrell. Yeah, I know.
The guy that got punched in the face.
Right. I mean, okay, so like if you walked on the moon, I don't care what religion you are. It wouldn't take you 2 seconds just to be like, oh yeah, whatever, man, sure. Hand to God, went to the moon.
Yeah, it is odd. Like,
but the fact that they get so worked up, they all get so worked up about it. It's not like I could see, like, okay, it's just with one.
Yeah,
dude,
the one guy that's son threatened him to get whacked by the CIA. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You're gonna call the CIA on some schmuck making an inexpensive documentary who got in your face.
That 100 people are gonna see. Come on,
that's wild.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
that's that whole I think you're protesting too much kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Like you're making it too obvious that you didn't do something. And then of course there's the video footage you look at after they come back. I think it was from the Apollo 11 mission.
Oh, it looks like someone ran over all of their dogs individually in front of
them. Yeah.
Into a telephone pole.
Yeah.
Like,
they're all
and I'm going to do it again. And now I'm going to do it again.
Just sitting
Here's
here.
your kitten.
I know, and they literally like they're all just sitting there, and their faces are like this, like playing with the pencil.
They're looking down. They're like, I don't really remember.
Hey man, okay, if
you don't fucking remember, you just did the most amazing thing ever
in human history. That's still to this day.
At least goddamn smile.
Right. And here these dudes are just like, all right, yeah, they just chopped off my wiener, guys. I can't talk about it. Like I just got.
They might still have their wiener, but
come on,
testicles removed.
Yeah, exactly.
I think of it like this.
It's too fishy,
I think that this is how I've always felt ever since I started figuring out the whole, like what I said before about the country club. Like once I got to look into the country club world, I realized that is how it operates, like high school. It's all a popularity contest.
Well, yeah. I mean, we never really grow out of high school, It's just that some of us choose not to play the click game, right?
By the way, high school sucks. So
high school sucks. I mean, I was homeschooled, so.
Yeah. All these people with these degrees, they learned everything that they are using today when they were idiot 20-year-olds. It makes no sense. And then they were all like taken out of their families and just left to their own devices to figure shit out. And it really turned me off when my science teacher in high school, like kind of just, okay, seriously, it's funny to me now, but I remember when I was like so proud. Oh, I have straight A's. Like, yay me, I can regurgitate on a test. But the one time that I actually asked the teacher a question, which was, where is the line between where the atmosphere starts and the vacuum of space? Like, I was trying to visualize it, and I
Did you know
really
what the
wanted her to
Carmen
give me
line was?
The Carmen line.
a concrete example. And I said, doesn't there need to be a barrier or something? And I'm saying barrier now. I know I didn't use that word, but a lot of flat earthers will explain the second law of thermodynamics, which is that you can't have gas pressure without an enclosed
right.
a container.
You have to have a container wall next to the gas pressure system. Otherwise, the gas tries to equalize, and then it's going to move in order to equalize the pressure.
Right.
So,
but if we were in a Glober flat earth debate right now, they would explain that the reason why the atmosphere is sticking to the earth is because of gravity.
Yeah, but that's not the right answer. I know the correct answer by mainstream physics, and it's not gravity.
Right. Yeah. And that, well, they also say that the density
it's got to do with the motion of everything. See, the one thing that a lot of folks,
the centrifugal force. Yeah,
a lot of things. The big thing about the mainstream model that a lot of people fail to grasp and kind of hurts arguments is that everything in the mainstream astrophysics model is in motion. Like literally everything. The planets are on the sun and the solar system is moving. The solar system is moving. The galaxy is moving with everything else. Like everything is in motion. Nothing's static. And a lot of people just don't grasp that. They also don't grasp the scale, which also hurts arguments.
Yep.
And then they say stupid things that drive me insane, like Nixon called the moon on a landline. Like there was a cord running out from the White House.
It's like, no, they obviously
you've been able
would have
to
used radio
phone into a radio since the early 20th century.
Yeah.
If he really called the moon, that's how it was done. I'm not saying that he did.
Right, but if they were going to do it, they would use.
You can go watch old Vietnam footage. They've got the backpacks with the phones and everything. It's radio. It's
right.
Radio.
Because, I mean, really, all a phone is just it's a microphone with an electrical.
It's a very simple electronic signal.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this is why.
But the other argument that to the, I'm sorry, Jason, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, the reason why people like what's that one jackass that Jaron doesn't like, the professor guy. Like he makes fun of flat earth arguments because people will say stupid shit like the phone thing, like that's an actual relevant argument when it's completely not. That's why I get mad about it. I was like, stop saying that. That's fucking stupid. Like you sound like a moron when you say that.
Yeah, because you're speaking out of an area that you should be
talking out your ass is what you're doing. Right, exactly. Clearly it would have been done with a radio. Like how could you not figure that out?
Right. Yeah. The other thing too, in terms of the second law of thermodynamics and understanding that the mainstream model, everything is in motion, is also the argument that you're looking at density gradients with the gases, which is how they explain a lot of that with the centrifugal force is creating this wall system. So if you think about, like oil and water and what have you, the density of say helium and then argon and I'm not even going to speak to that because I don't know which gases, are percentages of which, but the argument is that those gases essentially layer on each other to create a density gradient between our atmosphere and the vacuum of space. And thus it doesn't get sucked out.
Right.
But a lot of flat earthers don't even realize that they just, they don't look into it. So.
Well, the concept is that things that are in motion have energy behind it. Like you can't think of it as like when you have a container, like you do the classic experiment where you have a container with gas in one side and then a complete walled off other chamber where it's vacuumed, and then you open the wall, obviously.
Right.
Because there's nothing holding it back.
Of course.
Point. You're talking about massive systems.
Right. And then there's no motion.
Kinetic energy there. That is the mainstream answer.
Right.
That is why these professors and things laugh at flat earth people who don't understand basic physics. You have to at least understand their arguments before you're going to be able to make a counter argument, or else they are just going to laugh at you because these are common things that you would learn if you took physics stuff in college, like advanced physics, like they have done. So they like to laugh at you for being uneducated. And this is where I have a problem with all this. It's like, at least know what you're talking about if you're going to get into a debate.
Sure.
And I know
would be no different than like arguing.
Right. Ooh, Aston, you got a nasty
Just stick
ranking,
Jason
buddy.
on them, man.
What's that?
Just sig you on them.
Well, that's the thing. I could
if
probably
anybody else-
defeat either side because I know the concepts on both sides. So unless somebody was super educated more than I am, and I'm sure they're out there, then there's a good chance I would defeat either side. The thing is, I'm super objective. I'm right in the middle. I see things that I have a big problem with. That doesn't mean I'm completely on one side or completely on the other. But I certainly have questions that drag me away from the mainstream model. But at the same time, there's things about flat Earth that bugs me too. So I'm like, I haven't been able to get up on Jeff Bezos's giant dick rocket and go look. So until I can do such a thing, it's really hard to say 100%. But if somebody's got 200 grand wants to send me up there with Billy Shatner, I'll do it.
Oh, let's do it with Billy. Yeah. Send him up.
Yeah.
I'm a little short.
Scott, you're still so quiet, Scott. You're the most.
I'm
quiet.
learning. Yeah, and being respectful because the topic isn't one that I'm very versed in, so I'm trying to absorb everything.
Okay, but it's been an hour and a half, so are we ready to wrap it up, or do you want more?
We're ready to wrap it up. I want to get that app though, because I want to look more into this.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
I'll hook you up
I
right
will
after
buy
this.
it for you.
Okay.
Good. Now I don't have to. Thanks, Jason. I was going to.
Oh, okay. We support our friend David Weiss here. We love
That's
David.
right. That's right. David's a
Yes.
good guy.
Even though I'm not trying to end on a negative note, but I just want to let you know that when you go searching on all of the videos, there's one video he has called this is what stars really look like. And I just need to make this caveat that what he's showing you are blurred stars. That's not actually what they look like. And that's what the video makes it seems like. What it's showing you is that using a P900 or a P1000, you can zoom in and you're going to get this like cymatic pattern. And that cymatic pattern is unique to each luminary. So what's amazing is David could look at one of those cymatic patterns and he might know that one is Sirius or that one is whatever. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's all these little like pieces of information that like you need background info or everyone makes mistakes here and there. It happens. And so it's human, like you need to just like keep looking at everything and get your own like comprehension of these foundational ideas. And then when you're listening to people talk, you don't just like take everything that they're saying, because like I said earlier, I made a mistake. I was like, oh, this video proves flat Earth. And then I put up a comment on the screen clarifying that Dylan was saying, well, it's not exactly the video that proves flat Earth, but really it's the triangles and the sectants or whatever. And then earlier when I was saying, oh, it's gravity pulling the atmosphere, Jason corrects that it's actually the centrifugal force. It's like I never learned the scientific heliocentric model in the first place because that teacher, I was trying to tell the story about that, she shut me down so much and I was such a regurgitator and wanted straight A's so bad that I'm like, science isn't my topic, just not for me. And then the more I learn and like about how the world really works, I realize that it's not that difficult to comprehend these things. Like Jason is teaching me stuff all the time. And I realized I actually closed my mind to scientific ideas because I just thought that because of that one teacher, when I was so used to all these teachers saying, oh, like you're the best, blah, 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 like being a teacher's pet, I was like, oh shit, I better not go over here because I'm not going to get an A if I even try to ask questions. So that's what screwed me up. And so I'm like anyone else, I'm just learning as I go along. So with that star thing, it is true that the cymatic patterns matter. Like Crow, who Jason and I work with, he really cares about the individual cymatic pattern of every star. It appreciates that you can derive that information from the P900 and P1000. However, there are people like Ron Hagberg, who has a great YouTube channel that you should check out. He wants to point out, and this is on all of these debunking flat Earth websites, and I actually have gone to those websites to grab a meme from them to help people understand that in that camera, there's a hexagonal aperture. So when you're looking at these things, you have to know all these things like, yes, that cymatic pattern is unique to the star, but remove that little hexagon from your mind as you're looking at it, because that hexagon is the camera, not the star. You see what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah,
it
so they
saves
want to
us, and
use
it's gonna
that
get
as
everything.
right, like as a way to debunk any really just observational information is all you're taking in. But I do think that is another really even if we were not on a purported flat plane, let's say that we were on a globe. I think that really that information should still be available. We should understand and know that if we're looking at a cymatic pattern of a star, that should tell us a lot of things about a star that goes against what we're taught as a mainstream source of information, which is that that star is a hot burning ball of plasma, right? Because if that were the case, then it shouldn't have a unique vibrational pattern to it per se. It would behave more like the way that plasma behaves. So
well, not
I
necessarily,
think,
because everyone would be different, and it would have a unique pattern. Like the light coming from it should
well,
be
sure,
unique.
right, to a degree. I think that information, regardless, should still be known. Like, but they just don't teach us any of that shit,
Your microphone looks like an oil filter, Jason.
Oh, say that again.
Your microphone looks like an oil filter.
It does.
Yeah, from back there it does.
It does. Yeah,
It
that's funny. Straight off the truck, man.
All right. Well, as Scott said, it is time to wrap the show. We don't want to
Yes.
hold him hostage. We want him to be
right.
open to coming back for another cool, happy, awesome chat. I know that there might be some other flat earthers out there watching this that might want to like hang out and talk to you on another part to this. To clarify, in the chat, Nachiketa, my friend of episode 393, asked what Ron Hagberg's channel is, and it is just Ron Hagberg, and that episode was 247.5. So before we close, I'm going to let Scott give his closing statement first, and then I'll go to Austin for his closing statement, and then Jason, I want you to be the one who says goodnight to everyone, as if you started the stream, like you're the main host and not me. I'm just saying thank you right now to everyone for being here. I'm saying my goodbye right now. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Scott, for coming and helping me produce magnificent content on my boyfriend's channel. So now it's your time to like give your closing statement, and we'll move on to Austin.
Well, I want to learn more, so I'm going to be hitting you up for more information about this, and I'm going to look into it. And I'm going to watch They Live, because I haven't seen it in years.
Great film.
Yeah.
Documentary.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, basically.
And Roddy Piper. Can't beat
right.
it.
Right. I got a tip. I think that Roddy Piper has seen all of these videos that are demonstrating that. Like he knows people are using that documentary to try and demonstrate what's really going on in the world. And I wonder how he truly feels about it, because I don't think he could really come out and say it. Although if you search, you might find some interesting clips. All right, Austin, how was it? How was your first flat smacking event?
Well, I got to say it was a pretty chill smacking event. We had a really good crowd this evening. Scott, it was good to meet you. And
You too, man.
yeah, you're definitely on the path of curiosity. I would say that's one of my favorite things really about this topic, or anything else that we do on the, in the Crow realm or the Jason realm, Secrets of Saturn realm, the Rose realm, is really just trying to learn and understand more about the bullshit that they fed us and how we're trying to turn it upside down and really understand it for ourselves. I appreciate everybody,
Yeah,
since
since 2009, I've been on the path. So I've learned about so many other things from Jason. He was like, no, you got to look into this and this. And I was like, okay. So with this, it's like I have an open mind.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Which I think is good. I think really anybody should just keep an open mind about really anything, and then make your own conclusions at that point. But as always, Jason and Rose, thank you guys for having me on as usual. The Walters boy is always bound to show up one way or the other. And thank you. Let's go get some pancakes. I've got the shirt for it today. I got the flannel.
You do. Go give me some maple syrup fresh.
Maple syrup. I need some overalls. I appreciate anybody that listens to me for more than 2 minutes, because I know I can ramble. So, thank you everybody that was on on the chat. And yeah, I'll look forward to another one at some point.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I'm glad you were sport enough to do this, Scott, and maybe you can think of some things and jot them down, and we'll bring some other people back. Trying to think who might be good, but our friend Jaron's very good at just having things to spout off the top of his head, and he's very chatty, so maybe he can kind of poke you a little bit and get you to want to reciprocate in kind. Because the big thing is, I tuned into part of this while I was at the store, and it just seemed like you weren't saying a lot. So hopefully you're just processing, and we'll be able to come back and consider it again.
Next time I'll have so many questions.
I'm sure I'll hear about them over the next couple of days.
That's what'll happen.
That's right.
So last minute, I thought to have this on my YouTube channel since I barely use the damn thing anymore. So hopefully that meant more people saw this. And I thought that was a great idea because since Scott is very new to these concepts, that they could see how somebody who's a very close friend of mine and has been for a very long time might respond to these concepts being thrown at them from people who are more familiar with it. So hopefully that worked. I don't know. I have no idea what the numbers are, so we'll have to look later. But I know this went out over several different channels. So hope everybody enjoyed it out there. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And I guess we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
One, two, three, four. I told you so. I told you. I told you so. I told you. Remember when I told you about 9/11? Remember when I told you about Building 7? Remember when I told you about the fluoride in the water? Yes, I did. Remember when I told you about the New World Order? Remember that? Remember when I told you about the chemtrails in the sky? Remember when I told you that NASA was full of lies? Remember when I told you about the ultra mind control? Well, I just want to say that I told you so, yeah. Remember when I told you about 432 hertz, that is, and what 440 can do to you? It hurts my ears. Remember when I told you about the vaccine agenda? Yes, I did. And that Michelle Obama is a transgender. Yes, he is. The dinosaur fraud, the climate change scam, and yes, Sandra Bullock is also a man. Remember when I told you that there ain't no globe? Well, I just want to say that I told you so. 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 Yeah. Remember when I told you about the TV flicker rate? And how it puts your brain in an alpha state? Remember when I told you about germ theory? Remember when I told you about gravity? Remember that? Remember when I told you about Paul McCartney? Remember when I told you about direct energy? Remember when I told you about Monsanto? Well, I just want to say that I told you so. 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 Yeah. Yeah. I told you. Remember when I told you about the mainstream media? Your so-called celebrities and pedophilia. Remember that child trafficking and adrenochrome. Remember when I told you about the Georgia Guidestone? Remember when I told you about the false flag operation? Remember when I told you about 5G radiation? Remember that I told you that? Well, I just want to say that I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Yeah, I told you so. Yeah. But you didn't listen. I told you so. I told you.